So I guess it's not letting me upload the video. I guess it's too many megabytes or whatever it is wrong with it. But briefly, I want to go over what I've uncovered. It's they're using pesticides, insecticides, and stuff like that, and basically they soak into your skin. So they come in with the pesticides and deliberately put it on your clothes and in your food and all that to basically deplete your health and kill you. So definitely attempted murder. My physician said that I should make a police report, but I do not trust the police. So I probably will be making a police report, but not at this time. I'm gonna try to gather some more evidence. Crazy, 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 man. All coming from a lawsuit I had on a motel chain. You know what I'm saying? So back in 2013, after I got my settlement, that's whenever I started noticing weird shit going on. They put a honey pot in my life. I didn't realize it was a honey pot at the time, man. So I done had a couple of them. So man, if you targets, bro, you gotta watch these females, man. You gotta, you know what I'm saying? They be setting you up, man. You know, and as I look back on it, yeah, I mean, I didn't really do it for the money. I did it for the fact that I deserve to work too in a peaceful environment. You know what I'm saying? Being harassed on your job and all that is not cool. So the case was when I filed the lawsuit, it was on my case net and magically it disappeared. Go figure, right? So they basically lets me know that that's the reason why I'm targeted. Everything else is on there, but that I'm a case in that. So crazy. Uh, just uh, just the torture and the BS. I mean, I could go without it for real, but they're gonna do what they do. So I got some more content I want to drop on here. So just to wake people up to this stuff, man. Every chance I get, I try to wake up people that unknowingly people don't even know about this program. Try to wake them up. Man, I'd be like, man, you never heard of gang? Oh, what's that? I'm like, what you mean you don't know? You never heard of that? You never heard of organized stalking COINTELPRO? Oh no, I haven't. So I mean, I can't blame them because like I said, I just woke up to what it was last year. So crazy, man, crazy. But yeah, I just basically putting this out here because a lot of people don't talk about why they're gang stalk for real, like or why they think they're gang stalk. Some people are gang stalk for no reason. I'm hearing, it's weird, man. I can kind of see why I'm gang stalked, but I don't think I deserved it though. You know what I mean? It's not unjust for me to fight for my rights and and my right to work in this country. So fighting for justice, fighting for your peace, fighting for your sanity every day. Stay in prayer, man. I stay prayed up, man. This is a attack, man. We up under attack. I'm up under attack, and I gotta pray, man. Yeah. So yeah, I looked up this. I guess it's a web blog or something like that. Testimonials, and the guy was like, man, yeah, they were coming in my house, messing with my food with the pesticides and putting it in your milk and all that. You know, kill you off. Without a trace. So see what else I had talked about. Yeah, so I'm happy, man. I'm doing good. I'm writing the script and everything, so that's going really good. I think I'm gonna shoot this stuff. I'm gonna shoot it myself. I looked at some of the guys' work. I mean, work is all right. Don't want to step on his toes or nothing, but I think I can do a better job. So, but the script's coming along pretty well, though. I'm really happy about that. Uh, I don't know. I'm feeling a little bit under the weather because of all these toxins going in my body. So I've been trying to detox my body and try to get my health back together. Hopefully, I'm all right. hopefully everything's gonna be fine. I want to tell too much of my business because they're watching everything I do on these channels. But if you guys ever, want a question, or, what I'm saying, if you want the link, you could just email me at fgangstalkers20@gmail.com. Have no problem with sharing that link with you if that's something you want. I just don't want to put it on there for them. I do have strong discernment, so if you're a fake targeting individual or anybody, I will know. And just, yeah, man. And like I said, they try to. I believe they tried to flip me to be a gang stalker when I was with that honeypot Agent Jones. But I ain't going for it, man. I could never live that type of life to ruin somebody else's life. You know what I mean? And ride around doing that to people and breaking people's houses. I could never do that. It's not. It's not cool. It's just not what I do, man. I can't do it. I'm a man of Yahweh, man. Keep doing good things. Keep this thing going, man. So it was just a little quick rant, but I got some important little content I'm gonna put with this video. Hope you guys enjoy it, man. We're in the last days. The home stretch. Keep running your race. Endure to the end. Keep being positive, and keep your health together best you can. So this is just a recording for me. Just putting it out there for evidence that I am being poisoned. So you guys, I love you. Keep me in your prayers. Enjoy the video.
Hello, I'm Dr. Catherine Horton. This is a description of what happens to the victims once they get blacklisted by the intelligence agencies. It seems to be the case that these sprawling intelligence agencies use the life of the victims for their own purposes. And this could be anything. It could be the training up of young spies, the testing of weapons, the testing of pharmaceuticals, or the testing of the interaction of pharmaceuticals and nanotech with weapons, and all these sort of things. It seems to be the case that this is done on contract for the government to test certain weapons, or even for contractors and people who pay externally. It's kind of hard to pin it down exactly, but there are indications for all of these things playing together. And it stands to reason that all of these things would also play together. So once one has a corrupt system, all of these factors would contribute. In detail, what seems to happen to victims falls into a set of categories, a set of certain topics. So one of the first and most prominent aspects is essentially what the victims call gangstalking, or organized stalking. And this is being at the mercy of the sprawling, out of control human intelligence networks, the informants, the surveillance personnel, and all these miscellaneous contributors. Thereby, victims are followed around wherever they go. What they shop is monitored. What they buy online is monitored. So it also goes hand in hand with the surveillance of the electronic communications. Email surveillance, phone surveillance, all of these things. So a total surveillance of not just everything they say inside their home, as well as outside their home, over digital communication methods, over phone, also by post. So post is opened. The way victims can tell is that the way the stalkers act betrays the fact that they do know the content of their communications. They have advanced knowledge of where certain meetings take place, and so on. Then also this sort of organized stalking is done very overtly, very demonstratively, also with the with the purpose of disconcerting the victims as well. Then what also seems to happen is systematic break-ins into the home. That's a very, very common thing that is reported. So the break-ins would be what I term Stasi style. So the purpose is not burglary, but the purpose is disconcertment or inconveniencing the person. In these break-ins, typically items are demonstratively rearranged in a way that's noticeable, or items are taken away or put back again after a while, or foreign items appear. Sometimes clothes are stained in a way that cannot be washed out, stained permanently. Furniture is damaged, floors are damaged, walls are damaged. Sometimes more sophisticated things are done. For example, I know of a case where I think a Hollywood actor had his new clothes that he would buy replaced by virtually identical clothes, or clothes of the same look and make in different sizes. So these kind of mind games are played on the victims. Then other things that happen to victims is, sorry, I should mention the cutting up of clothes, so the damage to clothes. Also removal of documents. As part of the break-ins, also what happens is break-ins into their computer. So damage to electronic equipment remotely or actually through entry in the home. Poisoning of food or contamination of food inside the home that's being consumed by the victims. Sometimes it is also smear campaigns and slander in the community, which is then backed up with, for example, the downloading of criminal content, for example, child pornography, onto the computers of the victim. And this is just the beginning. So this is just what falls under the organized stalking and harassment category. So digital harassment, digital sabotage, psychological torture, and these Stasi methods. Then come a new category, which is attacks with electromagnetic equipment. These are microwave weapons which can target the victims inside the home and give them medical symptoms, pain, can trigger muscles remotely, cause terror, organ damage, brain damage, damage to eyesight, through irradiation with microwaves or focused shots. Victims are tortured in a systematic way. They experience sexual assaults when essentially their genitals are targeted and tortured in a systematic way. They also are played with. So the actual harassment follows a play pattern or a punishment pattern. So when they try to protect themselves, they get punished even harder, they get microwaved even harder. Then there's, on top of the microwave weapons, there's an extra layer, which is it falls in the same category. It's called voice to skull. This is a technology whereby sound can be essentially beamed into the head. So instead of using the ears, it is stimulating the actual auditory system inside the head, either by using the instead of using the ears, it is stimulating the actual auditory system inside the head, either by using the pathways, so the neural pathways, or actually parts of the brain, to transmit speech, essentially. So by using the actual internal anatomy of a human to make it operate like a radio, pick up signals like a radio, simply because the actual neural and the nerves transmitting signals operate just like like the electronics in a radio to a certain extent. Now the victims experiencing voice to skull experience harassment, intimidation, death threats, humiliation, sexual abuse, sexual denigration, racism, everything you can imagine. I don't know of a single victim who is being blasted with really positive, encouraging words through the voice to skull technology. There is so the voice to skull goes back to patents in the 1970s, but these days it has been around. It has been diagnosed by psychiatrists for absolutely decades. Now, these days, there's a TED talk, for example, on a technology that it uses these principles that has been put together by an inventor just on his own. I mean, this is not Raytheon or any of these other arms manufacturers. This is literally just an inventor, as far as I can tell. And his TED talk, I think it's called, hypersound or something like that. I think the name is Woody Norris, I think. So I'll try to put a link below this. There's a second device called the Scream, which I think is manufactured by an Israeli company for crowd control, so-called. It beams voices, or I think that particular device beams the sound or the perception of a loud screech into people's heads, which is extremely unpleasant. And I've read about one journalist who said that he experienced that at a protest in the Middle East, and he fled the scene, and even after 500 meters he still had the same sound at the same amplitude, same volume in his head. So this can be achieved with targeted beams. So the voice to skull is used on many victims. Then there's another layer, which is essentially what's called sometimes psychotronic weapons, or brain interference weapons, whereby certain emotions can be triggered, also using, for example, focused microwave beams, triggering a certain gland. This has been described by Dr. Barry Trow, a microwave weapons expert. But there are many other ways human emotions and thought processes can be interfered with. And a new technology seems to be this remote neural monitoring, or what's known as remote neural monitoring, whereby human beings are remote controlled. So their brain signatures read out, and the signal that the brain generates during activity is essentially read out, analyzed, and then fed back to human beings, who are then made to do the same activities. So reports are that the speech can be forced, they can be forced to say certain things that they don't mean to say, their limbs can be controlled, their hands can be remote steered, their limbs can be made to jerk, eye movement can be controlled, perceptions can be controlled, the actual brain thought processes can be overloaded or can be forced onto certain topics. The internal dialogue can be forced onto certain topics. Victims are also electroshocked or receive a pulse to the head if they don't think the right things. So this is done by hooking up essentially the analysis of their brain functionality to a supercomputer and reading it out remotely. As I understand it, it can be enhanced with certain compounds or certain synthetic nanotech particles or agents that the victims can ingest or can be injected with. Victims are also implanted non-consensually. These implants can do many things: cause pain, read out their bodily functionality, read out their speech, read out their subvocal speech. So this is when humans are thinking and don't vocalize, they just kind of subvocalize. They have the internal speech running. And essentially the situation seems to be that what victims become is a plaything, and it's to the first order outlaws without any human rights whatsoever. And they become a plaything and an avatar for testing purposes of the intelligence agencies. So they will have anything you can imagine done to them, not just property damage and Stasi-style stalking or COINTEL-style stalking, but also mind interference, very much akin to the death camp experiments from the Nazi times, the MK Ultra trauma-based mind control experiments, horrific injuries due to systematically being shot into with these microwave weapons inside their four walls. Their body is taken over, their health is systematically shot to pieces or disintegrated with nanotechnology. They are infected with diseases, their medical care is subverted, their social support network is specifically broken up by the intelligence agency so that these people cannot seek help. Their income opportunities are devastated, their companies are bankrupted, they lose their job, they are made to lose their job, they are forced to act out using these technologies to actually portray them systematically as mad, and many other horrific things are happening to them in a systematic fashion. And a lot of the time, the victims are not believed because people think, oh, so many things could never happen to one person at the same time. And that's precisely the point. It is to discredit them, and the key is to realize this is not by chance. This is a targeted takedown operation by a criminal group, so a criminal ganging up on a person. And as I said, this is done now to a staggering number of people. So we're talking in the many thousands per country, but people report that it could be as much as in the millions worldwide. What these people essentially become are outlaws for the testing of weapons and pharmaceuticals for the big conglomerates in the pharma industry, in the weapons industry, in the military intelligence complex. And their testimonies can be found online and their reports, but overall this is what's being done. So everything: psychological terrorism, vandalism, non-consensual medical experimentation, remote brain interference, limb control, speech control, horrific injuries, horrific testing. So this is what we're dealing with. Oh, slander campaigns. And also sometimes the targeting and the maiming and murder of their pets, the targeting of their friends, of their families, sometimes for their entire life, so all the way until they die. It's essentially like a program that targets them for life, and they become outlaws for life. So people are tortured inside their deathbed, people are tortured inside their old people's homes, and so on. And many people have complained about this over the years. They were not believed. Voice-to-skull technology was entirely ignored by the professionals in psychiatry and psychology, even though the patents were around. Now the patents are on Google. You can find them straight away. The technology is being advertised, for example, by this Israeli company, but many others. There's a TED talk on this technology. So now that is entirely in the public domain, and one has to go back and actually listen to what these victims have been saying all these years to get a feeling for the extent of the crimes, the lawlessness and the psychopathology, ruthlessness and criminality in the intelligence agencies who have been committing these crimes for decades. And not just to civilian victims, but they've also been doing the same thing to their own agents. So anyway, so this is to give you a scale and an overview, and also to give you the sense that one mustn't think that, oh, these things just couldn't happen to a single person. When so many things come together, one has to think, oh, this is almost like this is normal in this particular category. So as much as it is normal, in inverted commas, to have horrific injuries in a car crash, and it is normal to be exposed to horrific crimes in a war zone, and it is normal to experience horrific psychopathology when one is at the mercy of a serial killer. Similarly here, it is normal to have all these many things done to one person. It's not normal in average societal experience terms, but it is normal for this particular class of people who are victims of the intelligence agencies.